Hello there. Yes, I know. I said less videos in May. I did work on my book this morning for a long time. And you know you're in bad shape when you wake up at 1 o'clock and you have to take a piss and you want to sleep through the night. But you know that if you get up and walk, there'll be knife pains in your knees that will wake you up. So I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning. The night before, I slept until 6. I just was like, I'm not getting out of bed. I don't care if I have to piss or not. And somehow I managed to fall back to sleep. So you know you're in bad shape when you're like, you can't get out of bed to take a piss because the pain resulting from you walking uh, will wake you up. So yeah, I just took a fucking nasty spill and elbowed one guitar into another guitar, like a guitar domino effect, because I got this old crappy acoustic that's sort of a joke guitar. And I have a real guitar that was an acoustic, and when my brother cleaned in, I cleaned up the house. I just left him alone, so he don't know guitars from anything. So he just piled one on top of the other. So I take a spill, and it's just like I have no idea why I'm falling down or how these things even happen. I'm just suddenly on the ground. So I throw my elbow out to try to catch myself, and I elbow one guitar into the other guitar. But I don't think I scratched up the good guitar very much. Um, the really expensive guitars are in cases, so this ain't that big a deal. The big deal is I fell again. I don't know how bad I'm hurt, and my right leg hurts like a bitch right now. I don't know if I twisted it or what I did with it, but yeah, I don't know, man. I just got done. There, this is my filing system. I just writing at random numbers on the backs of things. But I just got done trying to set up my evaluation for a scooter that's supposed to keep me from falling on my ass. And then, like 5 minutes later, I'm falling on my ass. But they told me at Mercy Hospital that they didn't have the prescription. They need a doctor's prescription before they can schedule the appointment. And neither my doctor nor the people at the scooter company who have the doctor's prescription sent in the prescription. So, I'm just wasting my time. And then, so I get up out of bed after wasting my time and having this woman tell me, well, I don't have can't help you. Got to have a prescription, calls, make some calls. And I get up and I immediately fall down, and I don't know how bad my leg hurts. I just know it hurts. I don't know how bad I'm hurt. I never know how bad I'm hurt until it sets in, unless I really fuck up, you know. Like even when I split my leg open like 5 days ago, I had no idea it was that bad until like a bump raised up about that tall on my shin bone, and I'm like, oh, I hit like pretty hard, and then there was a cut on top of it, but I hit a sharp edge on a door jamb. So yeah, um, I don't know. It's the thoughts that I had running through my head was like I was thinking. You ever think of like all the moments that led you in your life to the point where you are now? Because when I moved in here, I was relatively viable physically. I mean, I mean, I was able to work out with 40-pound dumbbells. I was able to pedal bicycles uphill. I was able to walk a couple of miles easy. There's this weird place around here in the park where it has like this weird natural, like it's kind of scary, but it goes straight up, and it's like made out of like natural stones, and you walk straight up it. And I did that. I was walking with my cane that day, and that was when I first moved in the neighborhood. Because I took my cane with me because I was like, I'm going to be walking through this place I'm unfamiliar with. I might run into something weird, but I didn't think I would run into some kind of weird, I would say 30 to 40 feet high, just weird pattern of stone steps. And I mean, they're not like a gradual steps like this. I mean, they were like straight up. It was weird. I should, well, I can't do it, but I should have a picture of that for you because I can't even describe it. but it's like nothing I've ever seen. It's like walking up a staircase when the staircase is like this, and there is like just natural stones sticking out. It's like somebody make this or do this on purpose or what? But I was just walking around the neighborhood, and I'm well, I can walk all the way down this way, or I can use this as a shortcut. Let's see what happens. And me being an intrepid soul, I went ahead and did it. But anyways, I'm thinking about like what led me to this point, you know? It's like I hung in there with CRPS from 1986 until when I moved in here in 2011. And yeah, so really what exactly happened? I mean, what changed? And you know, the only thing I can think of is like all my friends and family turned on me in one way or another. And there was extra stresses piled upon me, and then I got the landlord from hell. And I'm dealing with like for years I'm dealing with all kinds of fucked up people. And I'm like, I think that is what led me to this state, because when I moved in here, like I said, I could walk 2 or 3 miles, no problem. I could pedal a bicycle uphill. I could lift 40-pound dumbbells and work out for 45 minutes to an hour with them. It's a completely different person. And then like all this emotional crap happened, and then I got the landlord, the worst landlord in the world, and you know, I mean, it's almost like he's actively picking out. And the fucked up thing with this guy is like, he told me he likes giving people second chances. So he likes renting to felons. It's part of him being a Christian or making himself feel good. The problem is he has good people living in the building already. He has good tenants. He has me and Roy, reliable good tenants. So he's just bringing in random people that are like charity cases, that are using government agencies, or that have records, criminal records and shit. And he's using this as like a sociological experiment. It's like, how is that a Christian act to fuck over good people? You're giving them second chances at the expense of people that are already good people and making them miserable. And he does that shit, what I gathered, to make himself feel good, because sometimes it works out. Well, guess what? It hasn't worked out once. Not once in the last 5 years in this building. But yeah, I just, you know, I fell down and I just got to thinking, like, what led me here to where I'm falling down and I don't even know why? There's no moment, like, you know, you can feel like, well, I took a wrong step there, or I stepped on this, or this happened, or whatever. Now I'm falling down and I'm just falling, and that's when I realize that I'm falling. There's no warning, there's no nothing. I'm just hitting the fucking ground. And yeah, it's like then I don't get to go outside. I'm kind of stuck in here. So yeah, but somebody asked me some questions, and he's one of my favorite people on the internet. He was asking some questions about my family history. The thing of it is I don't know that much about my father's upbringing, and you know, I just know little bits and pieces because it was so horrific. It was like, it's like asking my Uncle Joe to talk about fighting in World War II in the Japanese theater. He just doesn't do it. So, you know, I will get bits and pieces and like little tiny anecdotes, you know. So I thought of a few. One of them was like, I come from big people. Like I said, I have a cousin who played for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and then he went on to the NFL, and he weighed well over 300 pounds. And there's just tons. Like, I have another relation who's no longer with us, whose first name was Michael. His ring finger was so big that a guy as big as me could put it on his thumb and it would rattle around. So, I come from giant people, but I guess my grandfather was so big, and my uncles were all over 6 foot tall, except for my dad, who was a shade under 6 foot tall, that it would take two of their hands to make one of his hands. They could literally lay his hands on top of my grandfather's hands, and it wouldn't cover his hand. He was that big. So, my father was born in 1933, so you're talking about somebody that's like basically a giant. So my grandfather was basically a giant, because if you're talking about somebody that's 6'8" or 6'9", around the 1900s, George Mikan was called a giant, and I think he was 6'9" or something like that when he played for the Minneapolis Lakers in like the 30s or the 40s. And my grandfather was as big as he was. But yeah, stories are, I don't really have any. I have only hints and vague things about the past. Like I mentioned that my father told me that they used to box. Ever since they were kids, they were like pitted against each other, and they all knew how to box, and they all knew how to fight. I also know that they were he was born in 1933, still Depression years, so child labor was illegal, but he was one of 13 children, and they lived in a schoolhouse with no heat on a farm, and they had to work the farm to have the right to live in so you're talking about 13 children in a one-room place with like blanketed off areas or whatever. So God only knows what the past is as far as what's behind me, what was going on in the during World War II and whatnot, in that situation. I think my father was more like a middle child, so you could even say what was going on in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. So I really don't know. I know that my father once said that even his grandmother was mean, and you didn't want to get caught anywhere near where she could reach you with her cane, because she'd smack the shit out of you with her cane. And I'm not sure she needed much provocation for doing that. And anyways, it was an illegal child labor situation, and they were like sharecroppers. They were like slaves, more or less. They were working for lodgings. I don't think they were working for food. I don't know. And I do remember hearing one of my aunts referring to somebody named, they would call her as a nickname, Flannel Face, because they hated her, but she would come down there every morning. I guess she either owned the farm or was the wife of the person that owned the farm that the schoolhouse was on. And the schoolhouse probably dated back into the 1800s. And they called her Flannel Face because when she got mad, her face got bright red, and she would come down every morning at sunrise and gather up a troop of kids and take them and put them to work, and there was no excuses allowed. So I really don't know, I mean, man, I'm shook up as far as that was a hard fall. I mean, I don't know how bad I'm hurt, but I really can't say as to what, my father really never talked about his father. For him, it was like talking about World War II, with my Uncle Joe, which I asked him questions about it, but he would only tell me funny stories about it. Like I've said on here before, the worst thing he ever said is the Japanese used to tie dead Japanese soldiers up in trees to try to get you to waste your ammunition shooting people that are already dead. That was the most graphic he got about war and any of his. I've never, of course, I'm not an idiot and I'm a decent person, so I never asked him if he killed people or you know. I asked him once, like, well, one of these days, maybe you can tell me what it was really like. And he looked at me and real seriously, and he says, "You don't need to hear that stuff." He was never a serious guy. But no, I don't know much about my past. Um, as, as far as what my father's upbringing was like, he never talked about his father much, and I know my grandmother. See, I never met my grandmother or my grandfather on that side of the family. I know my grandmother was could play any instrument. She had perfect pitch. Unfortunately, she didn't hand that down to me. But she died horribly. I forget the manner. Something like a brain embolism or something like that. But yeah, I was thinking like I have a good relationship with my aunt. Like if I really wanted to find out what their life was like, I could go talk to my aunt about it and see what she would say about it. But she might not want to even relive that horror of their upbringing. So, sometimes people like, she's close to, she's 75, super bad health. So some people like to get that out of them before they die. And so maybe she would, clue me in on to what was going on. But I assume sexual abuse, physical abuse, starvation. Um, one of the things my dad says is that he would never eat another rabbit as long as he lives because he grew up, he grew up hunting and eating rabbits. So, he would hunt rabbits and I would eat them, but he would never touch them. He's like, never eat another rabbit as long as I live. It's because he was a hunter. I never got into hunting. So I know they were strapped for food a lot of the time. I don't know what my grandfather did for a profession. Um, I know I know much stuff that I can't tell you out of respect for my uh, one of my only real friends um, is my cousin in Florida, and I can't say a lot of the things that he's told me just out of respect for him. And but um, I know that um, you would not want to leave your daughter alone with any of my uncles. None of them. So, there's other things that I could say. Or, I'm handcuffed here. I can't. Yeah, yeah. I can't tell you about the people that have gone to jail and what they've gone to jail for, and various things out of respect for the living. Um, yeah, I know that my older brother killed someone, and he told me about it, and he told other people about it. So I know he killed somebody. I know that was a separate incident from when he shot somebody in the leg. That was my older brother. I know my other older brother uh, took the smart way out, and when he was 17, and I know that my father, uh, there's no doubt that he put at least one person in the ground because there was like several eyewitnesses that all had the same story. And yeah, and there was no doubt about his proficiency with a knife because I witnessed it firsthand as far as how his technique and as far as opening a knife and as far as the way he sharpened it and opened it. Like I explained it before. Yeah, he goes back to before these cheater knives. that you can open where they got a little bar that you can open them fast. And switchblades were illegal, so all you had was pocket knives. So he worked out a system where he would wear the spring down on the knife to where it was not hard to open, and then he would only sharpen the last half of the knife, and then the other half that he could put his thumb on, so he could spin a knife open just as fast as a switchblade. And and he kept one part of the knife dull where his thumb hit, and the other part of the knife razor sharp, and he deliberately filed it down into a point. And then when he died, somebody asked me if I wanted that knife, and I was like, no, that knife's killed people. I don't want. I said it's got bad juju on it, man. I don't want nothing to do with that. But the boat guy, he took it, and he didn't have no problem with it having to. He ain't worried about no. He ain't superstitious like me. But I just didn't want it because I know that I don't know how many people it's killed, so I just didn't want it in my house. But no, I really don't know, much about uh, how my aunts and uncles were raised. I know I had um, I know that my father was one of 13 children. I know that they lived in a single room schoolhouse with no heat in it, just a stove that you put fire in it. I know that they did farm work. I know, I think he told me that I think he told me he knew how to drive a tractor by the time he was 10 years old, and that he was doing farm work ever since that he could remember. So the people, the lady called Flannel Face, they had no conscience whatsoever. You know, they were just white slaves to him. So, um, there's probably some other stuff I can remember, but I can't really remember much else. Uh, I get Robert usually shows up about this time, so it's probably going to be the not as smart as the average person bus people. And I hope they get it right, and I hope I'm not hurt too bad, and I hope I quit falling, because one of these times I'm not going to be so lucky and I'm going to break something or twist something or tear a ligament. I mean, or something's going to happen, I don't know. But I'm not surprised over the snafu where the Vicky person did not send the prescription in. And now I guess I can call my doctor too, and double down and ask them to send the prescription in to Mercy Hospital and give them a fax number. Today's Thursday, so they're open till 5. I still have time to do that. My voice is gone because, like I said, I woke up at 1 o'clock having to take a piss. And so my fantasies about having a normal schedule. Yeah, that means I have to drink a lot less at night, apparently. Because I knew that once I got out of bed and walked on that knee that feels like a knife, um, that, I'm going to be awake. That's just, what, what, what wakes you up faster than intense pain and, the threat of falling and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm not a passive aggressive person, but I have taken to a passive aggressive behavior, which I better be very quiet talking about this now, just in case. It's like the only way to affect my landlord is through his wallet, and as he put it, his water bill went through the roof, and so he told this lady upstairs that's the only person on the lease that anybody else has to get the F out of there because they're taking showers. I'm hearing the showers running all the time, so they ran his water bill way the fuck up. And so what I've been doing lately is just leaving my faucet on like at a trickle, just to make sure, because that not so much to get back at him, but just to make sure that I only got to deal with Stampy again. But it doesn't matter because Stampy's on the lease. So, when she first moved in here is when I was freaking out. I was like, I can't handle this. So she's still going to be here regardless. It's just the kids are going to be gone. So Stampy Jr. will be gone, and the people that brought the roaches will be gone. Can you hear that? She's being, she's walking on eggshells, man. She's being very quiet, but if you have a good speaker, you could probably pick that up. Um, but yeah, I'm just killing time with my frog voice. I read for quite some time this morning, and I didn't get my proper rest. But the guy did ask me a question about it. He's like, "Well, I wonder how your uncles like got to be like that." And then I just said that they were taught, they were just made to box each other. As a matter of fact, the first time I met my Uncle Dave, I think I embarrassed my dad because he was like, "Put your dukes up, man, box." And I was like, sticking my chin out. And he said, "No, no, you got to tuck your chin in, man. That's the part you got to guard. You got to tuck your chin in. You got to, and he knew all about it and stuff." And my dad was like rolling his eyes because that's not how I fought. I only fought in anger and as a madman. So, I did not fight scientifically. There wasn't like, it wasn't like ding, come out there thinking and stuff. It's more like I'll pick you up and slam your back over a fucking car. And if you're lucky, I won't drop a knee on your head. That kind of shit. It was like, it was like animal shit. When I used to be violent, which of course, lucky for me and unlucky for me, that had to stop at a very young age due to health considerations. But yeah, I'm trying to think of. I think that's probably the worst thing that I did to anybody was because cars got those like emblems, like Chrysler emblems and stuff on the hood, and I picked that kid up and I threw him on the car, and I know his back hit the emblem. I didn't check to see if the emblem was busted. I just, the way he slid down, it was just hard to watch. And I know the thought ran through my head, I think I just broke his back. And I walked away, I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. But no, I was never cold-blooded. My younger brother, no, he cold-blooded. Like he had a problem with the kid in school. Like I told this story before, but it's worth hearing again. He had a problem with the kid in school. So he asked the teacher for a hall pass to go to the bathroom, like, I don't know, like 10 minutes before the bell rang, and this didn't go back to class, but lurked around this kid's locker. And then he waited for the hall to fill up with people. I mean, he planned this shit out like a fucking mafioso. He waited for the hall to fill up with people. And as the guy opened the locker, he walked up behind the door of the locker. And he reached behind the guy, and everybody had long hair back then. And he grabbed him either by the back of the hair or the back of the shirt, I don't know which, but he stuck his head in the locker and he just Joe Pesci'd him. Like in Raging Bull with the car door, with the locker door that he had stuck his head in. He just stuck his head in there and just boom, 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 boom. He said he just let him drop and walked away, and nobody knew nothing about it. He said, there's just a bunch of mass, how high school is, there's just a bunch of mass confusion going on. So, I would never think to do anything like that. I was like, it was always hot-blooded with me. I mean, it's always a temper thing. And, yeah, this is a weird little detail that, pretty much sums up me as far as, yeah, I used to beat up my brothers, and, I used to be in fights all the time. And, my younger brother, he just kind of got used to me whipping his ass. So he called it like, "Oh God, it's pucker up baby time." Because I guess that's the way my face, like I'd pucker up. He called it pucker up baby time. Because he was like, you're going to act like a baby and get all angry, and bad things are going to happen. And I don't know what my face looked like. I don't know what my face looks like when I'm angry. Carry a mirror around and look at it. But he used to call it pucker up baby time, and I asked him about it, and he said, "Man, I don't remember that." And I said, "I do." I said, you used to say that shit. And I don't know how young we were, but I stopped fucking with him when, when he got started to get medieval, and it was probably my fault. But when he started to get like Machiavellian and started like planning shit out, and like, he chased me around. He would use like weapons and shit. It wouldn't be a fist fight because he knew he couldn't deal with me in a fist fight. So, there'd be weapons involved. So, once you get chased with a hoe, and I'm not talking about the kind that stand out in the corner in stockings. I'm talking about the kind you dig with. When you get chased with a hoe or a rake or a shovel, and the guy that's wielding it is willing to fucking split your head open with it, you kind of start to leave him alone. Like I told that other story about him. Like he actually waited. And well, I'll tell the story again. What the fuck? Maybe somebody didn't hear it, or maybe they didn't enjoy hearing it again. But so they got left out in the cold by this guy. This guy was supposed to pick them up. I don't know if they were on a weed run or what the hell they were doing, but he just was supposed to pick them up in like an hour and didn't show up for 3 hours. And they had phone booths back then. And they were trying to call him and couldn't get a hold of him and whatnot. And then the guy finally shows up late, and he's like joking about it and stuff in the cold, or joking about him being left out in the cold and stuff like that. And it was a long drive home. The whole time my brother was just sitting there not saying a word. And that's when he waited, and he was in the back seat, like back seat drivers, guy in the front seat. He waited until the guy in the front seat started to get out, and he pushed the seat forward with his left hand, right hand into the guy's ear in the driver's seat in the front, from a sitting position, mind you, banged his head off of the side of the driver's side window and knocked him completely goofy, and then stood outside the car and said, "I'm not done with you. Get your fucking ass out of this car." The guy don't even know where he is. He's like, "I'm not done. I'm not done." And then my father come out there and said, "You are done." And he was more afraid of my dad, of course. And that got his temper under control. That's something about knowing that you're living with somebody that's killed people. It's like their word carries a little bit more weight. But yeah, he actually waited until the guy got him home. He didn't like, if it was me and the guy showed up there late, like an idiot, I would beat the fuck out of him on the spot and then not have a ride home. But not my brother, man. He think this shit out. So I was never like that. But yeah, I ain't making that phrase up. Pucker up, baby time. What the fuck is that? That's something a kid would say. But yeah, it's a shame that they did away with the Chief Wahoo. I even got the more supposedly racist Chief Wahoo. But if you think about it, like it's a caricature, you know. And I know it's a human being, but they have caricatures of all sorts of creatures. And Garfield the cat is a freaking caricature. Uh, is it Opie the dog or whatever? What's the big deal? And they made that girl with the cast on her arm smile when she was in there with a sour freaking expression on her face, and she saw this goofy hat on my head, and I couldn't figure out why she was smiling in my general direction. She's like an 8 or 9 year old girl, I think. And I was like, oh, I'm wearing my goofy hat. And, it made her smile. And now they did away with this. Now they got a dumbass, like, guitar symbol on the Indian sleeve instead of Chief Wahoo, which this is like the 1948 Chief Wahoo, not the red-faced one. But they got this stupid-looking guitar symbol now because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that is on their jerseys now. It has nothing to do with baseball, and it looks idiotic, and the whole idea of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is stupid anyway. So, I don't know. Do you want me to keep talking? I mean, my food's not here. It's only 11:30. I mean, shit. But no, I thought I'd answer that guy's question about, why my uncles were rapists, murderers. Uh, beat people up with baseball bats, threaten lies, put people in the ground, and why they were like they were. It's like my answer to that would be I don't know, because none of my aunts or uncles would ever talk about it. So whatever it was pretty bad. And I know that like the one side of the family was just littered with sexual deviance. So I'm assuming we're talking all kinds of abuse. You know, we're talking everything. So you know, like I said, I could ask my aunt for a more detailed description of her childhood, but she may not want to do that. You know, she might not want to go there. Even she might want to carry that shit to her grave. Um, but yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's just nothing's easy with me, you know. Nothing is easy. You know, it's like I said. I think that's why I open up the computer as much as I have to sit out here and look out the window and wait and see if it's going to be the not quite as smart as the average people or Robert coming by to drop the stuff out. Is that I had that idea. It's like, could all the emotional stuff that happened to me actually have ruined me? You know, are my emotions that connected to my body because of that stupid fucking disease that these people that supposedly love me and our family are the reason why I just fell like at 40 minutes ago. And like, are they the reason why I'm in the shape that I'm in? Are they the reason that I haven't been fishing for 2 years? You know, the betrayals and the broken promises and the abuse and the other nonsense that's gone down. That and the landlord and the drug dealers, and we've had pot dealers, crack dealers, meth dealers, domestic violence people, hood people. We've had all kind of lovely tenants living here. The funniest ones might have been the uh, interracial couple because they were loud. They were either fucking or fighting, and they were very loud doing either one. It was hard to tell which one they were louder at. So they got a term now, you know, for everything. So I guess it's called hate fucking. But they used to hate fuck above me, you know, and they hate fucked above me so loud that my neighbor called the police on them. They lived above me, and they were so fucking loud. And I would hear this shit, you know. And I was okay. At least he doesn't last that long in bed. So you know, it's gonna end after a while. But at first, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm voyeuristic. So at first I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know. Okay, kind of, you know, it's not something you hear, and then after a while, just gets to be boring. And you know, you're just kind of worried about people's safety and stuff. Do they have a safe word? I mean, what the hell was that? But yeah, that was funny as hell. That yeah, uh, guy in a wheelchair called the police on him for hate fucking above me. That's how loud they were. They weren't even above him. They were above me. I mean, the neighbors outside probably heard him too. You know, it was crazy. But yeah, they would have running, fighting arguments through the hallways at least once a week, and it would carry outside. And I mean, there's just been such a yeah. My landlord always says people never remember the good tenants, and I was like, what good tenants? We had one, like maybe three, ever since you bought the building that were I would call good tenants. There was the gay dude. There was the two good-looking women. Um, Sean, but I think he already lived here when the guy bought the. No, no, no. Yeah, so that's four. I can think of four decent tenants that he had in here, and the rest of them have been low class pieces of shit. So, um, you know, um, yeah, but I usually don't do passive aggressive stuff like that, but I'm gonna make sure his water bill's real high again, so he brings a resolution to the situation up there, and I just have to hear Stampy. And then I have to hope that Stampy has an unfortunate accident, perhaps where she sprains an ankle, and I can get some peace and quiet and enjoy my living room here. It's actually a very large room. See, it's a very tall ceiling to it, and there's not enough light in there for you to see shit. But it's a very big room with a ceiling fan. It's white. It's very bright, cheery, huge room, and I just don't spend any time in it because of the noise level. It's just like there's noise and then there's noise. There's noise and then there's vibratory impact tremors. But I'm just being redundant now. And itching my nose rudely. And yeah. I suppose if you're bored with me, you could have checked it out a long time ago. I really can't think of anything else interesting to say. My voice hurts. I did put out an effort to try to get the scooter thing to happen, and I couldn't get it done because of a mix-up with the prescription, but nothing ever seems to go smooth. I should probably get on the phone with my doctor and give him that fax number, and yeah, but see, my brain is not sharp because I haven't slept, and I took, after I got up to take a piss at 1 o'clock in the morning, I took 20 milligrams of Valium and 2 gabapentin to try to go back to sleep, even though I knew it was kind of hopeless. I mean, it's like, you never know. It worked before once, so maybe it would work again, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, I guess I'll do that, and I've never really been a believer in that showbiz maxim, always leave them wanting more. I believe in that showbiz maxim. Make that guy with the broom called the Sandman come out and sweep you off. Always leave him sick to death of looking at you. So yeah, I guess I'll do that. My hands are actually shaking from that fall. That really did shake me up quite a bit. I mean, my shoulder went. I keep fucking with this shoulder too. My arm went up, and there's like a recliner in my bedroom, and then my arm went up and caught the recliner and slammed into those 2 guitars. And I think I need to like limit mobility in this shoulder and not do any demonstrations with it or anything like that. Which is kind of also funny is the doctor has it written down that I have left side CRPS and my left arm is the problem. My right arm now is the one that's all fucked up, not the left arm. So, yeah, I'll leave you go. I don't know if I answered any questions or just, yeah, but there's just really not much I can tell anybody about, why I grew up like I grew up or what my family history was. I can tell you that both my parents were born in 1933. I can tell you that my story is so horrible that I can't tell it on here. That I told part of my story on here on another account, but it's only part of it. And the full range of it, though, it takes a certain level of intelligence to comprehend the full level of misery involved, not from my point of view, but from other people's point of view, because everything is connected and everything is interwoven. When I had my great moment out at the Bodhi tree, and enlightenment hit me when I was 20 years old, and that was my born again moment, if you want to use Christian terminology. I saw everything as connected. I wasn't, that's why I can deal with so much solitude and aloneness, is because I'm never alone. I'm always connected. I'm part of I'm connected to you. I'm connected to any living being on this planet. I'm connected to by something that I don't understand. But I came in contact with it one night about 3 o'clock in the morning, fishing in a very remote area. And I had reached the point where I was like, okay, spinal tumor, spinal reconstruction, and now CRPS. What's the deal? Give me something. And all I got was a brief flash or a brief insight. And I can't even explain it. No hallucinations were involved. I didn't see any chariots of fire. I didn't see any Elijah and a whirlwind stuff. It's just like my mind just opened up and I saw things in a different way. And I had that moment of enlightenment where I was like, there's something inside me that's eternal and will go on after me. And this something is connected to everything else. And that is all I know. And that's all I know how to articulate, at least. That's not even knowledge. That's like, there was a great phrase in this show where it says, mysticism is the point where knowledge ends and intuition begins. Actually, I just made that up on the fly. I don't remember what the quote was, but I like it, so what the fuck, I'll say it again. Mysticism is the point where intuition begins and knowledge ends. So I don't know that stuff, but I know it. I feel it right in here. And that's how I can keep going, considering the past that I've had and considering the misery that I continue to be in. I apparently, when I fell, I bent my glasses as well because they appear to be crooked. And yeah, I just don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I want to get this scooter thing taken care of, and I want to get outside and get out of here. But really, I need to go and get my eyes checked because they're really, I think they've gotten weaker, and I don't want to buy contacts with my old prescription. 1-800-CONTACTS keeps reminding me that I need to re-up all my contacts, but I'm not buying the same prescription if it's not the right prescription. What I really need is a pair of glasses that is good for indoor use, and these bifocals things are shit. They, because they got like a huge area that is your reading part, and you're supposed to somehow ignore that, like like that difference, where you're like looking up like that. There's like that change, and then you can see the line of the bifocal line. You can see it like all the time, and I just want a pair of glasses that are good at close range, and then when I go outside, my contacts will be good at far range. I don't want bifocals. I hate bifocals. This is my first pair that I ever owned, so I kind of need to do that. Yeah. The good old not quite as smart as the average person bus is late, and I don't know if you can hear the faucet dripping in the background, but I'm just leaving the faucet drip. Like I say, I'm going to make sure. That's the only thing that motivates that landlord is. So I'm going to make sure that place upstairs is cleared out. And if I have to do it in a passive aggressive fashion, I'm falling on my ass. I ain't going to be intimidating nobody. And I ain't going to be like alpha male. And if alpha male, I'm not going to be playing the alpha male on anybody if I can't even stand up. So I have to do things this way. And my landlord is just incomprehensible. It's like, it's almost like, I might have told you this before, but I know somebody, my best friend, the cop, rents to people, and I was like, can you please talk to my landlord for me? And talk to him about screening people and how to be a landlord. Maybe he could learn something off you. And I guess he's bored or whatever, but my cop friend's like, yeah, I can do that. So I talked to my landlord, And he's making no sense. He's aggravating the piss out of me. And then I'm like, I call my friend back and I'm like, listen, name withheld. I like you. You're my friend. I am I am not going to do that to you. You don't need to talk to that guy because he's just going to aggravate you. You know, and it's like, I like you. I wouldn't do that to you. You know? So I'm like, this guy actually let his dad pick through. I know I've said this a billion times, but it just blows my mind. He let his own father pick through junkies, garbage, and then said it was no big deal. It's like, I can't reason with a guy like that, you know? And like, I don't, I don't understand the guy except for that it's pretty apparent that all he cares about is money. Because again, I'm being redundant, but again, oh, he seems like a nice guy. What's his name? Clint? Do you know his last name? No. He says he's got a job. Oh yeah, where does he work? Do you know where he works? No. So he knows nothing about the guy, but he couldn't care less because he's getting paid. And I'm like, that's the guy that's probably set up the meth cookhouse across the street and he wants me to live with him. So it's all about this with this guy, which I don't understand because, I mean, I don't know his life, but I know that he's got to be a very wealthy man. So I don't know what, you know, the whole, I don't even know, like, as far as telling him off, I don't even know if I'd want to even go there because of, it's like talking to somebody devoid of logic. There's really no point. I mean, why? Why bother? That's a lot of times when I'm talking to the guy, I'm like, why bother? You know, he's gonna play devil's advocate over the dumbest things. Here's something he played devil's advocate over. I said a lot of cold air comes up from the basement in my bedroom, and he was like, "Oh, not that much cold air comes up from your basement." I'm thinking, I don't remember us being gay lovers. You've never been in my bedroom at night, and he's like why would you even say something like that? And it's like, yeah, he actually contradicted me about the amount of cold air that comes up in my bedroom. It's like, I don't remember ever sharing a bed with you, Gerald. It's like, I don't swing that way. You're an attractive man and all, but yeah, frankly, you can do much better than me anyway. That's the kind of idiot. It's like there's no logic there. There's nothing that makes any sense there. The only thing I can figure is the only way you get this guy's attention is to fuck with his money. Because once those people ran up his water bill, and that's how these other people got tossed out. It's like they went on the lease and his water bill went up. So it's like that's all he understands or cares about. But as far as talking to him, he says the stupidest goddamn shit you ever heard in your life. Like trying to contradict me saying how much cold air is coming up from the basement in my bedroom. The guy spent no time at all in my bedroom. So how do you deal with that? I'm sorry that this is such a long video, but they're not coming. Kind of kind of dependent on them bringing this food. So I guess I'll get off of here. It's not a good time to call my doctor's office. It's because it's right around noonish here on in the Eastern time zone of the United States. I can always find something to talk about. I just can't always, be interesting. Nobody can be interesting all the time. It's not possible. And yeah, like talking about my vision and my bifocal thing and all that crap. I mean, it's not interesting. Now, if I'm talking about people murdering people or fights or violence, I happen to know that people love violence. I'm one of the people that are upset that they canceled the Punisher series on Netflix. I mean, it wasn't. I'm not a comic book guy or graphic, whatever the fuck they call them nowadays, guy. And I realized that that show wasn't true to the character or whatever through all the nerds on the internet telling me so. But the guy who played that role is just a master at physical acting. I just love the way he moves. It's like Clint Eastwood was the first guy to really like tap into that. Like you don't have to say shit. You just have to move a certain way. I mean to tap into it like in a real hardcore way. Other actors have done that. I mean Marlon Brando famously spontaneously tried on a woman's glove in a touching scene. Eve Saint Marie, I think, in On the Waterfront, which still holds up, still a great movie. Um, so there's other people that have done that kind of physical stuff, but the way he moved and stuff on The Punisher is what I enjoyed about it. The way he walked and moved and stuff like that. And like, I loved the violence and stuff. And like, frankly, I couldn't tell you any of the storylines or anything like that. But that actor who played Shane on The Walking Dead, which I've stopped watching like years ago, probably like most people. Once it got, I don't know, it just got to the point where like you're not following any course of logic here whatsoever. I realized there's a certain suspension of disbelief when you have to deal with The Walking Dead. But there was a scene in this show where um, the guy opens the door and doesn't look outside. Now, he's been in a zombie apocalypse for approximately 3.5 to 4 years. But he opens the door and doesn't look outside first and lets in a whole bunch of zombies. It's like, okay, there's brain farts, and you have your senior moments, but it was I think, Daryl character, and he was 35 ish, and he was the best survivalist on the show. So at that point, I'm like, I was pretty much done after that. I watched a few after that, but I was like, yes, they just didn't give up. I mean, they reached such a level of popularity that they didn't give a damn about quality anymore. Could this be my food? I don't know. Because, they have volunteers, they have the people that are not quite as smart as the average person. People show up in buses, but they also have volunteers that show up in cars sometimes. And I'm not putting on a shirt today. I really don't give a fuck. I usually put on a shirt so people don't have to look at this wreck that I happen to inhabit. But I'm not bothering today, not after falling down like that today. I'm just going to concentrate on not falling down. And yeah. But anyways, the guy's name's John Barenthal. But man, what an actor! The guy who played the Punisher on Netflix. Um, I don't have any TV anymore, which I just stopped paying my bill like 2 months before my contract was up. A funny thing happened where I woke up and my internet didn't work and my phone didn't work. Oh, here's my Meals on Wheels guy, and he's carrying all the boxes at once. So I will see you later.